separately from the Kikuyu, a Kenyan African National Union was established. And this Kenyan African National Union was kind of ambivalent towards these Kikuyu. They didn't know how to react to these youth gangs and to the persistent strikes and rebellions that was happening on the White Highlands. So you have a formal organization established, but they're calling for independence, they're calling for autonomy, they're calling for more freedoms, but not really able to deal with all these uprisings and strikes by the Kikuyu. So by 1950, there was a complete collapse of authority in the Kikuyu areas, and the cause of that collapse was named Mau Mau. I don't know what Mau Mau means. I think it was just a British invention, really. And between 1952 and 1960, the British imposed an emergency, and they brought in 100,000 troops to deal with the squatters and the Mau Mau, who went into hiding and came out to attack white farms and so on. 100,000 troops. The irony is that 3/4 of these troops were other Kenyan blacks. 3/4 of the troops who they mobilized to put down the Kikuyu were other black Africans. They detained thousands of Kikuyu into detention camps and special detention villages. And many Kenyans who were not Kikuyu or had nothing to do with Mau Mau, if you were suspected, as I said, you were treated as if you were Mau Mau. And that, of course, led these people into further resistance against the British as well. So later on, the settlers lumped all the Kikuyu and even most Kenyans into Mau Mau. You know, they're all against us. The settlers actually knew very little about the Kikuyu. To them, the Mau Mau were simply squatters who were armed. The settlers were mostly of the opinion that only a strong, repressive approach to the Mau Mau was the way to deal with them. A small body of settlers felt that things would improve over time, and that these were simply Africans who were dealing with new modern conditions and the changes in the country. As I said, that by the end of the emergency, 12,500 of these Kikuyu had been killed, and only 164 British of the troops in the British army, mostly blacks, were dead in action. The Mau Mau themselves were responsible for about just under 2,000 deaths of other Kenyans. Most of whom were in the British controlled Kikuyu Guard that they had established.